Okay, so I'm all out of breath because we'll talk about this as we go in, but geez Louise, I think Bound for Glory may or may not. I'm just going to jump out of the gate. No introductions yet. Bound for Glory was awesome. It blew my expectations out of the water. But now that we've gotten that little tagline out of the way, hello to all my Biconics YouTube nerds out there, and welcome to another pinfall playback review. This time we have the Impact Wrestling crew. All three of us are here to review Impact's Bound for Glory pay per view, which at the time of this recording took place yesterday, Saturday, October 21st, 2023, from Chicago, of all places. There was no wild CM Punk sightings. I'm just going to put that out there for any of you people who were wondering. He was at a hockey game, though, so that he was in town, just not at Impact. But there were some other special guests that made their way to Impact, which we will talk about, especially one in particular, as I read the reports that they are officially now signed with Impact for a little bit, so I'm excited. But I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and I am joined by my other two lovely co-hosts from the Table for Two plus You Review. I'm gonna start with you, Will. Will, this is your third Impact pay-per-view, and this is your first Big Four Impact pay-per-view. Sir, what did you think?
It exceeded my expectations. I mean, honestly, the go home show lowered my expectations. So I was going in it low already, but what I got wasn't what I was expecting. And I loved it. I was here for it. I mean, I was speechless in some of these. I literally was like, I have nothing to say. I was like, don't have I have no words. So I really enjoyed it, and like I said, it exceeded my expectations. It was entertaining from beginning to end. I didn't feel that there was necessarily any low points. There were, honestly, even in the sort of backstage stuff that was happening here and there. But I mean, it all felt like it flowed. It all felt connected. It all. So I was like, yeah, this was great. This was a damn good pay per view. I'll just say it.
I'd love to hear that. And of course, our other co-host, Andrew. Sir, what are your initial thoughts? How did you feel after watching Bound for Glory?
I loved it. I was pumped. I was super pumped. I mean, they got me going with the intro all the way to the very last moment. And so I really enjoyed it. I agree too. We talked a bit about on the review show that the kind of go home show didn't really set my hopes too high, and I think they were even exceeded had my hopes been set, where I would have liked them to have been. I thought it was an awesome show. I jumped out of my seat multiple times. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
I love to hear that. And as far as I go, I unfortunately missed a review with these two lovely gents, but I do have some initial thoughts on it. I also was a little bit worried going into the pay per view because the go home show was a mess outside of the opening match between Bailey and Samurai del Sol, and then the main event with Mickey and Trinity tag teaming against Giselle and, well, basically Giselle and Savannah Evans, so the whole entire Shantaraj. Everything else was non-existent because it had nothing to do with any of the other people that had matches on this card. But after Bound for Glory, after all was said and done, I honestly think right now, going into this, Under Siege was still my favorite Impact pay per view this year. That is definitely not the case anymore. Bound for Glory is probably my favorite Impact pay per view this year. And right now, it's in contention to probably be my favorite pay per view this year, even though we have 2 months worth of pay per views left. I only have one critique about it, which we will get into towards the end. But even then, that critique, while it sucks and didn't necessarily hinder too much of the overall. But we'll get to it when we get to it. All right, gentlemen, let's just get started. So really quickly, I could be wrong, but most of us didn't watch the pre-show. But that's because the pre-show was the induction, the Hall of Fame ceremony for Don West and Mike Tenay and Miss Tracy Brooks, which I love to see. And then let's just jump into it. So I am now ready with the glasses on. We opened Bound for Glory this year with our opening match for the Impact X Division Championship. Champion Chris Sabin defending his title against Kenta. Oh my god, this match. this match was great. This was Kenta just doing Kenta things and kicking hard and doing things. And Chris Sabin also answering back with some hard shots of his own. This match was a lot of fun and it did what it needed to do. I hmm, let so let's just talk about the overall feel of the match. So I love Kenta. I've always loved him. I know what to expect when he's in the ring. I was quite surprised, but I shouldn't be, that Chris was able to keep up and be able to answer a lot of Kenta's stuff too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it was when you see Kenta and that's in that style and he gets to go full out, it's a violently awesome thing to watch. It's just so hard hitting, so rough. Like it's just, but he does it in such a way that, like you said, like it was awesome to see Chris Sabin go there with Kenta. Like the fact that he was able to kind of give it back, obviously, as the match kind of went on, it kind of showed a toughness from Sabin, but also showing him willing to go that style. Which I think it's a little different than the last few opponents that we saw him wrestle around the title. So yeah, back and forth was great, and like the build for Sabin to kind of build up a comeback was awesome to see develop as well.
I loved it. Will, this was your first real introduction to Kenta and his style of wrestling. And spoiler alert for those watching this, me and Will got a chance to watch this together via my laptop. Fight TV I love Fight TV, but we need to figure something out because Fight TV for the last two matches, it was chugging along. I'm like, Fight TV, do not be sexist and do not hate the Canadians in the main event. What is happening? But Will, what did you think of Kenta overall? And then some of your thoughts about this opener match.
Well, I liked him a lot. Like I said, I was not familiar with him even when they announced him in was it a couple of episodes ago, wasn't it? I was just like, oh, I don't know who you are, and I don't know why they picked you to do this, but okay. So I went and I, did the only thing that you can do, and that's Google search. And I went and watched some videos and sort of got to know him a little bit. And so I really like this guy. Like, I like his style. I like his aggressiveness. I just like his gravitas when he's in the ring. And he did not disappoint in this match. And, and it was funny because when we were watching it, I think Mikey, you said that that Chris Sabin's gray is really showing these days, and I was like, yeah, you're right, but he kept up with him. I was like, good for you. Like this was like, I mean, this is one of those where we were like, oh my god, oh my gosh, oh my god. I mean, it was just reactions all over the place because it was so good, and it started the night off like with a bang, and I was like, okay. So they gave us a really good one at the beginning. All right. Now, you've got me hooked. So I do not want you to better not disappoint me. But this match, these two men, it was brutal. And I loved it. I love this sort of brutal wrestling styles. God, it was so good. Kenta was all over the place, and I was loving it. Chris Sabin, like I said, was keeping up hit for hit, and it felt so well matched. And I was like, oh, okay, I see why they picked him to fight. Okay, I'm good with this. I like him, and I want to see more of him wrestle some other folks in the Impact world. So, but I like it. It was good, and it started off the night like really well. Like holy crap!
Yep. totally agree. I think some of my favorite moments of this match was just Kenta like going from every time he threw Chris into the corner, he would like that drop kick when Chris was hanging upside down in the corner, and then Kenta went to the other side and then ran
Oh
and jumped
yeah,
and drop kicked him in the chest. Kenta jumping from the top rope into the chest of Chris Sabin. I was like, oh, someone broke a rib. One of my favorite moments though, Kenta like teasing the go to sleep and then turning to the
yeah,
camera and just sticking the middle fingers
yeah,
up to everybody, and the
yeah.
crowd was booing.
I loved it. I
And
really did.
then, but Chris Sabin with the cradle shock just and 1, 2, 3 retained the championship, and Chris Sabin is still your X Division championship or champion, I should say. This match was so much fun.
Yeah, it set the bar, and how I ranked all of my matches. It set that bar, and no one dipped below it for the
No,
rest
I
of it for me.
agree. Not at all. Some exceeded it too. I was like, oof. God, it was
It
so
was
good.
it was And once this match ended, I had an internal thought. I was like, I'm interested to see how the rest of the card goes. So we got that out of the way. So that's opening it. So I'm thinking, okay, we'll get one of the tag team matches. We'll get something else. Uh, I was not expecting them to do the Monster Ball match right after this. So they just jumped right into it as soon as the X Division Championship match was over. We got a video package talking about how this match came to be. And then we started off this match with everyone exiting the room that they were secluded in the dark with no food and water for 24 hours. I don't care what nobody says. This is my favorite gimmick of all professional wrestling. And it's dumb, but this is the type of dumb that I love. And on the social media too, ever so often they posted clips of like the four-way
Yeah,
split
yeah,
screen of like the security cameras watching them. This is like the Big Brother live feeds of these four. So I love them coming out. So Moose is chilling, but Brian Myers has water for him, so that wasn't too bad. Steve Macklin looked like he had seen better days, put on his coat and left. Rhino was all crazy. I was like, Rhino, calm down. You're not PCO. Like, why?
yeah.
Like he was more monstrous than PCO was, but as soon as PCO walked out of his door, he's out here and he's going for Moose. I was like, oh, Moose is in it for a rough time. And sure enough, he was. So Rhino comes out first with his entrance music, and then we just all hell just break loose immediately. Like Macklin comes down and attacks him. Moose jumps in, and immediately everybody is just jumping in, doing crazy things. I can't really go bit like in order from this match because there was a
It was
lot going
so
on. But some of my key moments, in no particular order. Steve Macklin, like shoulder checking Musa to the trash can in the corner.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Violent.
good.
Um, Moose throwing PCO into the cinder blocks with thumbtacks, and then the thumbtacks in
Oh,
PCO's head. I
his
was like,
head and shoulders.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
They were in his arm, in his shoulder, but the head, I was like, oh my gosh, sir. I know the skull is the hardest part of the body, but oh, also, PCO's like senton off the top rope onto the fin of the apron too. I was like, sir, we are 52 years old. What are we doing? But the scary part for me is when Macklin was on the top rope and he was about to jump, and then Bully Ray showed up and pushed him off. I'm like, Macklin almost missed the table. Like he barely made the table. I'm like, his shoulder was the only thing that got on it. And I'm like, he almost didn't make the table. This Oh my gosh, this match was insane. But
But that was one of my moments of the night though when Bully Ray came out there. I was just like, what the hell is he doing? And then he was like, I was like, I was like, son of a bitch.
oh, and then to add insult and injury, Bully Ray comes up to Macklin, who's laying on the floor, and just stands over him. Is like, "Who's soft now?" and proceeds to leave.
yeah, yeah. So
I'm like,
good.
I was like, damn. I was like, all right, this feud is continuing, and I'm actually kind of here for it because at first I wasn't. But if Bully Ray is going to be, which is weird to say, the face in this feud, I'm kind of here for it.
But and what's so funny though is that this really kind of, we finally, this, I think that this one little interaction between him and Macklin finally set something where we can go, okay, I get it now. All right, I'm with you. All right, let's see what happens now. Because before, I could give a rat's butt about Macklin. I really could. Now I'm kind of like, okay, now what are we going to do, Macklin? What are you going to do now? Because now Bully Ray's like, what you got to say now? And so I'm like, oh, okay, this could get really good. This could get really good now. So now I'm kind of invested in it. And I agree with you, Mike. I think to see Bully Ray on this side of it is kind of hilarious. I mean, I think, and I'm going to say, I think he is completely underrated as a comedian on this show. He is so funny. His character is hilarious. Can be, I mean, at times can be absolutely hilarious.
Listen, he wasn't done with the comedy spots because we'll talk about it during the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. And that made me solidified. I was just like, I may not like your takes on your podcast, but I was like, your in-work character, I love you more so, Bully Ray. I can't believe I'm saying that. But Andrew, this Monster Ball was a crazy event. What are some of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it started for me. One of the first spots for me that just got me going was Moose back body dropping PCO on the ladder that was draped
oh my
over
God,
the ropes. And I honestly, I PCO, I am happy that he won because he was my MVP of this match.
Oh yeah,
he, like you said, at his age and with what he's already done, in his career, he took that first spot, and I thought I was like, oh, he's down. He's going to be down out of most of this match now, and he was not. He had a whole segment with Macklin, and then Moose, and then came back after those cinder blocks with the thumbtacks was insane. I assumed they were going to use both things, but I did not think they were going to put those things together. The barbed wire table, as soon as they pulled that out, I know that was not going to be good. And the Bully Ray push moment, like you both said, was really like it. It makes me happy. I hope they continue that way. And Bully Ray now is just like, nope, I just don't care anymore. I'm just gonna. You want me to be this, bastard, kind of guy? I'll be that for you if that's what you need. So it could be a really good showdown between the two of them. Um, yeah, but PCO he earned that win. Like that was insane. Some of the things that he went through and the things that he did, like you mentioned, the senton, um, that finishing one. Well, trying to hit both guys, but landing on that chair and on Rhino and Moose was just, or no, it was Rhino and Macklin, um, and just all the way through it, I just kept getting more and more excited with this match. It was
Right.
crazy. Lived up to the Monster Ball.
Yeah, and then again, PCO jumping from the top rope onto again the senton on. I think it was at this point it was two. It was Rhino and I think it was Moose because once PCO got up, then he pinned Moose for the win.
Yeah. That's who it was then. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised to see. I thought, if all honesty, I thought Macklin was going to get the pin, but once he went out, I was like, oh, okay, Rhino's going to take the pin in this one. Nope, Moose took the pin. I was like, huh. Well, I guess it doesn't really hurt Moose because he has the briefcase, so it doesn't really matter for him to lose in this one. But again, I was happy, even though my prediction was for Moose. I was not upset that PCO won, and I agree with you, Andrew. PCO was MVP this match, given the fact that he had moments throughout this match with all of three other competitors. And again, at this age, taking cinder block to the back, thumbtacks in the head and the shoulder, the senton onto the edge, and then jumping on a steel chair on top of two people is I'm just like I'm interested to see what they do next with PCO. I was like, give me my Canadian Frankenstein.
Yeah. It was funny when this match was first like, oh, this is what's next. I was kind of like, oh god, because I mean we saw a version of it in the last episode, and I was just sort of like, oh jeez, these guys again. But no, it was like, I was like, holy crap, where the hell was this last time? Like, where was this energy at? I mean, this was like, like whole and like you're right. I totally agree with you. PCO being MVP of this match. I mean, there was that point where Moose that was kept hitting him down, and he kept getting right
Mm-hmm.
back up, and
Yep.
everyone was like,
Yep.
"What?" It's
Yeah.
like, he's like, "Whoa." I was like, "Oh damn, okay." I mean, then the tax, and I mean, I was telling Mike, I was like, you could see them. They're like glinting. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
they're in his shoulder and on his forearm. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, this match totally exceeded what I thought it was going to be, and it was fun and it was great, and I thought all of them had some wonderful moments individually, which I would, when you have multiple wrestlers in a ring, not everybody gets their kind of spotlight. And I thought everyone kind of did. I thought it was pretty well matched. I thought it was even on who, we were focusing on everybody, the great thing about it is that they were all going for blood, and I was like, okay, I'm here for it now. I'm here for it. And then I got into it, and I just loved every damn minute of it. And I was like, okay, and it made me not hate Macklin. So something positive
Seriously.
came out of it.
One last thing I'll add about this is, this is not. I mean, at Under Siege, before he got injured, Macklin has a one-on-one type of match like this with PCO for the title, and that match was crazy. Listen, I have been able to unseen cookie sheets the same way again because Macklin got hit with cookie sheets from PCO, and that man was bleeding all over the place. I'm like, oh, it's like cookie sheets are violent, you guys, and I'm kind of here for it.
I was kind of
But
surprised nobody bled in this one.
I
you
mean,
know what?
honestly,
Minus the thumbtacks, but yeah,
Yeah,
nobody really
yeah.
bled in this
Nobody.
one.
Yeah, I was
And
kind of.
I was surprised. You're right. Nobody really bled. But in all honesty, I'm kind of happy about it because the thing is with these types of gimmick matches, like, and I might be desensitized because some other promotions do it all the time where everybody's
Yeah.
bleeding left and right. I was like, it was nice to see basically a street fight, but there wasn't a copious amount of blood all over the ring. So I loved it. PCO is MVP. Please, I'm interested to see what happens next with him. But all four of these men, even Rhino, even though most of the time he was just laying on the floor catching his breath, uh, I thought all four men shined. Macklin looked great. Moose was fine in losing. Rhino was cool, but PCO was MVP. And you know what? I was just like, okay, the first two matches were awesome. How are we going to do this? So before we get to our next match, we do get a backstage segment. Gia interviews Mickie James, who we get a sneak peek of her wrestling outfit, though we really only see the top half of her outfit because we'll talk about the bottom portion of it. Because we here at the Biconics love our wrestling, but I also like the fashion of their ring gear because I love it. It's great. But Gia interviews Mickie James, and she brings up the fact that Mickie is facing Trinity, who, they're good friends. They are pals, but this is the chance for Mickie to regain the title. She never truly lost because she had to give it up due to injury. Literally a week before, she was set to defend it against both Deanna and Jordan at Rebellion back in April. God, that would have been a great triple threat match. But it's okay. But Mickie says that she's ready. She loves Trinity, but she's going to do everything that she can to get that title off her. But there's no bad blood, and she knows that Trinity's going to give it her all, and so will she. And we'll talk about Mickie because I think she's never, in my opinion, she's never in the conversation when we talk about great women's wrestlers, women who have been doing this for a long time. And I want to say that Mickie James, I feel like, is a consummate professional, but we'll gush about her more. We then find out that we're getting the Impact World Tag Team Championship match next. So this is ABC taking on the champions, the Rascals. ABC is cashing in their Feast or Fire briefcase for this opportunity. Leading into this, the only thing that we were told is that we weren't sure if it was going to be the Rascals or the team of Sami Callihan and Rich Swann who were going to be the champions going into this match. Spoiler alert, we all knew that the Rascals were going to win, especially when it came out that Sami Callihan's contract was up and he is now a free agent. I love you, Sammy. Thank you for all you did for Impact. But, man, this match also blew my expectations out of the water because these two teams are so acrobatic and just so they work so well as a tag team. But Andrew, I'm going to come to you first. As our resident tag team expert, like this is your bread and butter. From your perspective and your love for tag team wrestling, how did you feel about ABC and the Rascals?
Oh, I loved it. Like watching it was every time somebody new came in and kind of they got to work the trio of either going against the other tag team or working with their partner against one of their opponents. Like just that those tag team dynamics, getting each to have a chance of their own to shine. Every time someone came in, I was like, "Oh, this person is so good," or "This tag team is so good at what they do." And then the next person or tag would come in, and it was just, "Oh, so is this one." And this match, I would love to see either of these tag teams go against any of the other top tag teams in any company. It, I, all the stuff aside about how much the Rascals are can be pains when it comes to the shenanigans that they do. Um, the tag work of these two teams was amazing, and just the speed that they move, but the clarity of everything that they hit was awesome. And to see them going back and forth and really working those tag team themes was pretty cool to watch. Yeah, definitely one of my top matches of the night. I think this was probably it was up there in my top two or three matches, but of course it's a tag match, so a little biased. But yeah, I loved it. I loved this match, and I loved just how well they all work together.
I totally agree with you. Will, we were all in anticipation for this match when we found out it was Rascals versus ABC like 2 weeks ago, and getting a chance to watch it together. What did you think about this tag team match through and through?
Oh, I loved it. I agree. This is one of my top matches of the evening. I think I love this, and I chose ABC over Rascals because, well, the Rascals, and I know, and one of the great things about this match that, and or the tag teams, not the match itself, but ABC. I'm gonna give them some credit here. They knew their opponent's bullshittery. They knew what the Rascals do, and we have that wonderful moment where one rascal tags another because the other one was like, "Oh nope, you're not getting me with spray paint." And I was like, "See, there you go. You know your opponents. You know your opponents." And so that's why I really like this match. Other than the match was amazing, but is the fact that I felt that ABC knew their opponents and could counter them well, and vice versa. I think the Rascals understood them as well, but uh, I was very much wanting the Rascals to lose this one because I think they're disrespectful, and which is great, but I too kind of got offended when they spray painted. They tagged the belts. I was like, that is rude. This is why we can't have good. This is why we can't have nice things. So I was very much like, please ABC win this match. Plus, I love Chris Bay as well. I think Chris Bay is such a great wrestler. I mean, Ace Austin is too. Don't get me wrong. I think they're both great, but I really like Chris Bay. I just think he's one of those aggressive wrestlers that I really like. That when he gets tagged in, it's going to get good. That's that sort of thing. And it did when he poor Ace. God bless him. He was getting his ass tore up, and when he finally got the tag, and Chris jumped in that ring, I was like, oh, it's on. And it was too. I was what's so great about it. So I agree with everything that Andrew said. I think that these two tag teams worked so well together, like as a duo, each of them. They know each other. They trust each other. It's that nothing felt unrehearsed, so to speak, quote unquote. And it's like everything they did, their partner complimented them, and I thought that was so great. And so especially when it was like a 2-on-1 thing, they each had their own little thing, and I was like, that was so good. man, I got so pumped during this match, and luckily I was coming off the high of the two previous matches, or I was on that high, not coming off of it, on that high. So, and this just elevated me even more. And again, this one like blew expectations out of the water. I thought it was going to be a good match, but man, it was on fire. Like it was on fire. Man, these two teams were just they were working it. But ABC won. Ha ha.
I love to hear it. You know, I agree with Will. Chris Bay is one of my favorites. That's his style of wrestling is very. I love it every time he's in the ring, and also he's just so charismatic. You like it just oozes off him. And I also agree with why he calls himself the ultimate finesser,
Yeah.
because he just makes everything he does so seamless. I
Yeah.
want to highlight Ace Austin though, because I got to give him some credit too, because Ace did a lot of the high spots for ABC.
Mhm.
And I was telling Will this when we were watching this. I'm like, do you know how much control you have to have of your body to rotate mid-air into different directions? Like, there were two times when Ace Austin, like, well, he looked like he was about to just do like back moonsault off the rope. And then when he went over, he contorted his body to come down at an angle and twist midair. I'm like,
So
Jesus
good.
Christ. I was like, and he did it twice this match.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. And I always love Trey Miguel because every time he's in the ring, he always pulls out something new. I'm like, is there anything that you can't do, Trey? Like there oh my goodness. And I'm glad that he's in the tag team division, but and this is just further down the line. I want to see him with an Impact World title run because he has yet to win that title. So I'm hoping that in 2024 we see a Trey Miguel title run because I think this man has proven I think he can be a world champion. Also, I wouldn't be mad if him and Chris Sabin go at it again. Like I'm just putting it out there. Like X Division, but the Impact World Championship is where I want to see it. Even though I had picked the Rascals to win, this match was amazing. These two teams put on a hell of a show. And just like the two of you had said, the momentum kept going for me because I was on this high. So the first three matches were awesome. I loved it. And then we get told what the next match is. And I want to take a moment because, listen, we here at the Biconics, we respect everyone's belief system, but we all subscribe to the wrestling god pantheon that is the booking powers that be in Impact. Because Lord have mercy, we get told that after this tag team championship match, the next match was be Speedball Mike Bailey versus Will Ospreay. We get a fun little hype package that showcases both of them. Speedball to me has been that guy this year. The man had an excellent match with a blow up doll, and that's how amazing a wrestler he is. He had a match with a blow up doll. It was hilarious, but it was great. And then, of course, Will Ospreay is also that guy. Okay, I need to mentally prepare myself because she's a sweet dragoon on a cracker. I knew this match was going to be good, but by the end of this match, and Will can attest to this because we were watching it together, for like 5 minutes straight. We had to pause because we had no words. I was left speechless by what was shown on my Fight TV screen. Like even talking about it now, it's like I don't even know where to begin with this one. I'm like,
I know. I was again. I did not know either of these two guys that well. You know, I didn't know Will Ospreay at all, and Mike Bailey I knew a little bit about, but so I went and did my Google search and did my due diligence, and I watched a little bit of Will Ospreay here and there, and I was like, oh, okay, he's pretty darn good. Okay, so this should be fun. This should be a fun. I was like, okay, still coming on that high. I had that high going. Just had the traction. I was like, okay, so this. I'm sure this will be an okay match. I'm pretty sure. You know. Oh my god. It's like I literally had no words when this match was done. I was just. You're right. We had to pause and just go. I don't know what I just watched, but It was absolutely amazing. I mean, I didn't know what I was. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that, and that was a good thing. I mean, the brutality of this match, and yet the artistry of it was just. I mean, even now, I have hard times like developing the words to talk about. I mean, it's just like this was my match of the night. I will put it right out there now. This was my match of the night. I was so, it pulled me in from beginning to end. I was so into this. And I honestly, I didn't know where this match was going to fall because these two, I thought on okay, let me back it up a little bit because when this first match first started, I thought Will Ospreay was going to wipe the floor with Bailey. I did. I was like, he's going to get in there and he's going to whoop that boy's ass. And then I was like very surprised that Bailey was match for match, hit for hit. And I was like, holy crap. So I was like, okay, I seriously underestimated him. Never will I do that again. And then the match just got bigger and better as it went on. It was literally, there was no low point in this match. It was all like they were up here the whole time. And I was like, I didn't know. I was just like, holy crap. I have never in my life have I felt that amazing during a wrestling match. Like where I felt like I was there. You know, it was like, so it was, this was crazy. It was unhinged and I was here for it. Whew, man, I'm exhausted talking about it.
Yeah, the the back and forth was incredible between the two of them. Uh, the fact that there were legitimate points when, like, for the 2 count of the referee, I was like, Mike Bailey might win this. There were a couple spots where I believed it. I had that hope, even though I picked Osprey to win in the beginning. It was so well balanced between the two of them that there were points when I believed that Bailey might actually win. And I mean, honestly, at the end of it, I don't think anybody lost that match. We sure
Oh,
didn't
I agree.
getting to watch that. Yeah, like the two of you. I after this match, I had to take a break and walk away and like go outside, get some air because it was my adrenaline was going so high from watching this match. It was insane, and it was so incredible to watch. This was my match of the night. It was as close to a perfect match as you can get with, especially the fact that these two are not like regularly around each other in wrestling, just where they're working right now, and to get that with that cross promotion, yeah, I'm so happy. We talked about earlier the fact that this match didn't take place when it was originally supposed to, and we got it here because we were so lucky for being able to watch that and have that happen. I The fact that like I jumped out of my seat when Bailey kicked out of the Oz Cutter, and then when Osprey kicked out of the Ultima Weapon, and it was like Osprey was standing up when he got hit with it, and oh god, it was so good. Just I don't even know what the actual time of the match was, but I could have kept watching it. Like it was such a good rush of a match, and yeah, this was a great peak for the night. That just yeah, I want to go back and watch it more, a few more times just to be able to watch that again.
I literally lost time during this match. I did. Because I was like, I mean, I truly, Mikey, I don't even remember. I don't even know how long it went.
So, according to the official reports, this match went on for 17 minutes and 58 seconds, and it did not feel like that. It felt like this was a 30-minute match,
It did.
but it didn't feel like it was 30 minutes anyways because it just was nonstop.
There was so much shit going on. I mean, it felt like this went longer, but it didn't feel longer, but it
Yeah,
felt like it went longer.
it felt full. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah, that's
just
it.
oh,
Yeah, it
so good.
was. Oh, it was. God, it
And
was so good.
oh my goodness, like again, some of the highlights, like you both mentioned, like the Oz Cutter and then the Ultimate Weapon, and then they're pulling out things that I want to say that Will Osprey right now is having like the best year for him in wrestling because this man has been working everywhere and he has wrestled on some of the biggest stages this year, from the Tokyo Dome earlier this year in January facing Kenny. He fought Kenny again at Forbidden Door in that amazing match at Forbidden Door. He fought Chris Jericho in his hometown of just like the grandest stage of All In. Then he was also at All Out. And then we got this match. I was just like, I hate that he got injured when it was supposed to go down, but I'm extremely happy that they threw it on Impact's Bound for Glory because Lord have
But
mercy.
I'm pretty sure they said that he had just had a match with Zack Saber Jr.
That part too. Yeah, just
Yeah,
off the heels of Royal Quest, and that match was also
yeah.
baller too. Will Ospreay is I want when you talk about careers, like we talk about wrestlers over their period of like years and years of wrestling. To me, Will Ospreay literally can just use this year as a prime example of why he's going to be up in the Hall of Fame because this kid does, and we have to remember he is under the 35 club, so he still has a couple more years of wrestling left before he gets into like the prime or the peak. And this kid is doing everything, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. It's to me, I love Kenny, but Will to me, I think Will Ospreay is unofficially taking the torch from Kenny. Like this is Will Ospreay to me is the new Kenny Omega. Like this is prime Kenny of what I'm seeing, and I love it so much. But again, those two spots, the Oz cutter onto the apron from the
Hmm.
corner, where I thought somebody broke their back. Mike Bailey pulling out a flamingo driver, which is like unheard of, and that is a move I have is it doesn't get pulled out that often across anything that I watch, and it's just like the Meteora, and oh my
Oh,
goodness,
the meteor storm, or no, what was it? Meteor rain, or
the
his
Yeah,
Meteor
it
Rain. I was like,
yeah.
holy crap, that's
Oh,
the first time I've seen Mike pull that out, and then of course like my favorite move besides the Ultimate Weapon is Mike Bailey's like from the corner tornado kicks, like
yeah.
kicking the air, spinning it around, and then going and kicking Will into it. There was also the moneymaker shot for me is when Will tied Mike up into the corner and just set him up perfectly, and then just a straight kick to the face, knocking Mike out. I was like, Jesus, oh my god. I honestly didn't know who was going to win because they kept kicking out of finishers, especially towards the finishing sequence. Because Osprey like got Mike, he kicked out, got him again, kicked out again, and then just Will Osprey, no mercy, just like bam, 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 pins him for the win. But Will had to pull a lot in order to keep Mike Bailey down, and Mike Bailey also pulled a lot because he wasn't giving up this fight. And my God, this I don't. I'm gonna take the words from Jr. I was like, this was a true slobber knocker for me. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
And I agree. This was my match of the night. Me and Will had to pause for like 5 minutes because I was sweating and I don't understand why. Like
Yep.
it was like I was wrestling and the adrenaline was way too much.
That's why me too. That's why I was like, I literally felt like I was right there. I was right there. It was God. It pulled me in so fast. I was like, wow.
I again, there were not enough words last night to describe how I felt about this match, and it wasn't until the end of Bound for Glory that I was talking to Will about this. So, for me, when people ask me, why do you watch professional wrestling? Outside of the normal bits that I get, I was like, well, because the characters are fun. There's some campiness and silliness to it. There's some great action. But if I were to introduce people to, like, what are some matches I can watch to get into professional wrestling? I'm like, this is one that I'm going to put in my list now. This is one right now. Cause I was like, listen, there might be some silliness and there might be some mediocrity. And also, sometimes we know what's going to happen because we've seen enough of these matches to happen, which is fine. But when you talk about why I love professional wrestling, not why I like it, why I love it, this match proves why I love it because the sheer athleticism, in ring psychology, and in ring storytelling from a match that had no build except for like video packages leading into this. I was like, this is how we do it.
Agreed.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
100%.
Again, my match of the night, all three of us agree on it. This was a phenomenal match. And I am so happy we get Osprey for two more matches, at least for the next couple of weeks. Like yes, please. I'm so happy. I also want to shout out Impact because the next decision was correct because this was I talk about this all the time when it comes to pay-per-views and how we book the card. You just had this baller match and I'm sitting there, I was pausing and I told Will this. I was like, they better not put any of the at that moment that I thought that we were still getting 3 wrestling matches for titles after this. I was like, they better not put any of these 3 title matches that we have left after this cuz there's no way. I love those 3 title matches we have left, but there is no way that any of them are going to be able to compete
Follow
with that.
that. No way.
Mm-mm.
I
And
was like,
then
if they were smart.
Impact. I am giving you everything. I'm calling it now. Scott D'Amore and Gail Kim, you are the best bookers of the year because you made the right call by putting the call your shot gauntlet right after that match.
Absolutely.
Which was perfect because this was 30 minutes of just watching fun and funny moments and campiness and just some fun shenanigans. And this was a nice way to get everyone to still be invested, but to have them start to calm down after that baller of the match. So kudos to Impact because that was the right call.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned, after Bailey and Osprey, we get the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. So, for those of you who do not know what this is, the Call Your Shot Gauntlet is Impact's version of the Royal Rumble that WWE does or any type of over the top battle royale. 2 wrestlers will start into the ring and they will wrestle for about 2 minutes. And then, once those 2 minutes up, every 60 seconds, a new competitor will enter the ring. The goal is to eliminate opponents by throwing them over to the top rope, and they are eliminated once both feet hit the floor. Once we get to the final 2, after all 20 participants are in, and then we whittle it down to the final 2, then it becomes a standard singles match where the winner of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet will be the first one to either pin or submit their opponent. So, this is how we're going to break this down because I don't want to spend like 30 minutes on this because it's going to be forever. So I'm going to go through all 20 and then each of us can talk about some of our favorite moments. But then we're going to spend the most time on the final 2 because that final 2 spot was a lot of fun.
It really was.
So, in order, because I actually wrote down who came in when, and it was like, write it down, write it down, write it down. So, in order from numbers 1 through 20, starting off the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, at number 1 is Jake Something. Number 2 is Eddie Edwards. Number 3 is Kenny King. Number 4 is Chicago's own Juventud Guerrero. Guerrero, yeah. Number 5 is Johnny Swinger. Number 6 is Giselle Shaw. 7 is Jody Threat. Number 8 is Kylan King. Number 9 is Miss Sunny Kiss. And this is what I was alluding to earlier. It's the reports have shown that Sunny has signed with Impact for a little bit, so we're going to see more of Sunny. And I love Sunny. She is great. Number 10 is Bully Ray, who we'll talk about in a little bit, because he actually was a lot of fun during this match. Number 11 is always ready himself, the indie god, Matt Cardona. Number 12 is the juggernaut, Jordan Grace. 13 is Eric Young. 14 is Joe Hendry. And I have some beef with some certain people about that. How dare they? 15 is Brian Myers. 16 is Heath. 17 is Frankie Kazarian. Number 18 is Rich Swann. Number 19 is Jonathan Gresham. And number 20 is Dirty Dango, as we were told, because he won the Fatal 5-Way, which allowed him to be in spot number 20. So I'm going to start off with some of my highlights. First and foremost, Jake Something almost making it to the end was amazing. And from the number 1 spot, my heart broke when he was like in the final 5 and then got eliminated, which hurt me on so many levels. Um, let's see. Giselle Shaw being upset that Crazy Steve was ruining her entrance was funny to watch. I also had a we had a wild Tommy Dreamer come out of nowhere as well, and I was like, oh god.
But I
I was
was
like,
kind of there for it, though. I was kind of there
yeah.
for it.
I was like, okay, Crazy Steve about to stab Johnny Swinger with the fork was hilarious. I was like, he just hates everybody. Crazy Steve is that guy. Um, Kylie King was kind of MVP for me because she laid it so far and she was knocking people out. I also want to spotlight because she was like punching Bully Ray in the face, which was also
So
fun to watch.
awesome.
And
Their
I'm
little
gonna
standoff, was it the two of them? They had the little standoff when she came in the ring. I was like, "Oh, what's this all about?" And then she
It's kind of funny to watch because Bully Ray's character is kind of like, oh, we're supposed to hate him, but outside he's literally like wrestling dad for all the Impact people. Like he literally is dad to everybody. It's the sweetest thing ever. Um, my highlight was the Sunny Kiss Bully Ray dance off.
yes. Oh my god, that was so funny.
Let's see. Uh, those and oh, my other highlight was Dirty Dango immediately getting in and then
Yes,
immediately
Yes,
getting thrown
yes.
out.
yes, yes. That was my number one. That was
Jake
my
was like, "Nope, bam."
yep. And I was so glad that Jake did it too. I was like, yes, because he is so gross. Dirty Dango is
Okay.
so gross.
So those are some of my highlights. Will, we're gonna come to you. So before we get to the final two, the Call Your Shot Gauntlet is supposed to be hokey and fun. So what were your thoughts? Everything leading into the final two.
Well, I had never seen one of these before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. But I enjoyed myself through this whole thing, and it was so funny because as when we were watching it, when they would show the countdown, I was like, "Oh God, who's coming in next? Oh gosh, who's coming in next?" And then we were all trying to guess who it was based on their intro video. That was a highlight of mine. I love doing that. That was fun. I have to say my highlights were when Eddie Edwards was ejected because he annoys me, and of course my top one was when that was fantastic. That was like a beautiful moment for me when Dirty Dango came in. They're all like, and, oh, I was like, thank you so much, thank you God. Was it Giselle? Her entrance.
She was so annoyed. She's like, "Really, Crazy
That
Steve?
was
This
the
is what we're doing."
funniest thing. She's all like, wait, what? And I was like, oh my God. And then Crazy Steve. I loved, believe it or not, I loved Crazy Steve's entrance into this. I thought it was great. I wasn't really sure why he was after,
He was about to stab Johnny Swinger with
yeah,
a
Johnny
fork.
Swinger. I was like, what? What is your beef with him? But that's okay. So he went after him, and then then I loved watching all the security guys come running in to get him out of the ring, and then he goes over, and then Johnny Swinger's down on the ground, and he's like fork, and then Tommy Dreamer comes out of nowhere and like wails on him, and I was like, I love that because I was like, thank God, because I was wondering what they were going to do with Crazy Steve and Tommy Dreamer at Bound for Glory, and I love that Tommy Dreamer came in and whooped him. I was like, thank God. It wasn't all, here, look, come here, let me hug you and give you a puppy. It was literally like, okay, fine, that's why you want to play it. Then I was like, finally, I feel like, okay, Tommy Dreamer, I'm kind of like on your side now. Because before, with all the boo-hooey and let's hug, and I'm like, no. And then he comes in wailing. I was like, that was chef's kiss for me. And then, of course, yeah, Kylie King holding her own all the way through. And yeah, when her and Bully Ray were hilarious through that whole thing because I would watch them and they would always end up together. The other one was that I commented on that was a fun moment is Grisham and Jordan's
Like he tried to get yeah. I was just like when he tried to eliminate Wifey and
Yeah,
Wifey just
yeah.
looked at him and Jonathan's like, never mind. I was like, oh,
I'm gonna go to the other
gonna get
side
it
of
when
the
he
ring.
gets he gonna get it when he gets home.
Oh my God. So those were I really enjoyed this whole thing. And it was so wonderful because the good thing about this for me is we just came off of Will and Mike's that fight, and this was like we said earlier, was a great decision because this did not drop my enthusiasm. It maintained my enthusiasm while my adrenaline dropped, but I was still so into this whole thing. And I was like, it was corny and fun and silly and crazy, and it was just a lot. It was a great moment. It was a great time. I had a great time with it, and it did not drop below the bar. I thought this maintained the energy of the night pretty well, all the way up till we got to our final four. Until then, we got to our final two. But I love this. I want to see more of this. This is great. I don't know why they don't do this more often. That's like honest. Maybe I guess I know why they don't do it more often because then it becomes whatever. But it was great. I really enjoyed it, and it maintained my high, so I was good with that.
Yeah, this match was a lot of fun. A lot of the same spots for me. I thought also this was a great match to have afterwards because uh, you described it perfectly of keeping your investment high but letting your adrenaline calm down. It these kind of matches, these Royal Rumble, Call Your Shot Gauntlets, Battle Royale, all that stuff. When they're done right, they just work so well because they every few moments you're getting a new introduction to somebody new. So there's never a chance for anything to get repetitive or stale. Um, and they brought them in a really good order. I thought I popped super hard for Sunny Kiss and Matt Cardona showing up in this. I thought that was awesome. Addition to this, and to hear that Sunny's still going to be around for a while. I'm excited to see that. Um, the moments between Jordan Grace and Jonathan Grisham were super funny. The when he whipped her with the t-shirt while she was in the corner moment, some of that stuff, just the interactions that people had. It you could tell it was just fun for them to be out there. Getting to see the major players get back together for a little bit was fun. See some people who don't normally get to wrestle much with each other. But there were also some really good moments in there. The Tommy Dreamer and Crazy Steve stuff. Actually, seeing that got me in more invested in what we're obviously going to see than a lot of the other segments that they've done had. I think they tried to point out that the two main people he seemed to be going after were Johnny Swinger and Huvatude, and that they were old ECW people, so they were friends with Tommy Dreamer. And so they use a lot of the fun of it to be able to also kind of make some interesting moments happen, and especially with this match being for an eventual title shot, obviously there's going to be what that could lead to, and the moments that we got and the moment that we got at the end was so awesome to like be able to see and everything. So I loved it. I thought this was a great uh, come down from the big drop on the roller coaster, and we got to go back up a little bit again later. But it was a good break period that didn't lose any momentum in the ride for the night.
Oh, absolutely. And then one moment I forgot to after the dance off, I also love Bully Ray walks away. It's just like, oh no, I'm not doing this. This is silly. And then he ends up helping Sunny Kiss and they tag team for a little bit
Yeah,
too. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm kind of here for Sunny and Bully as a tag team. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why, but it's great. So then we get to our final four. So once Jake goes over the rope and because that's like then we get to the that broke my heart. I was like, we
too.
were so close. I was like, we were so close.
He'll
But the
get
final
his
four,
soon. He'll get his. He'll get it. I know he will. He'll get something soon. I feel it
I'm
in my
not gonna lie.
bones.
Now that I think about it right now, can you imagine like how hard hitting Jordan versus Jake would have been if they were the final two? I'm like, oh my god, like they're gonna wipe the floor with each other. It would have been fantastic. But Jake ends up getting thrown out, so he misses the final four by one. So our final four end up being Bully Ray, Jordan Grace, uh, because Bully,
Kylan King,
Kylan King, and then who was the
Matt Cardona, right?
Yeah. Was it
Oh
Matt
yeah,
Curtis?
Matt.
Yeah.
So Jordan and Matt go at it. Kylan and Bully Ray go at it. And so Jordan throws over Matt, and then Kylan gets thrown over by Bully Ray. So now we're down to the final two, which turns into a singles match. So Jordan Grace versus Bully Ray. And the first words that came out of my mouth when they squared up against each other, I'm like, my God, Bully Ray is tall as hell. Like, Bully Ray is the tall man, and Jordan Grace is kind of tiny compared next to him. She's more built, but she is tiny. And I love them playing up the David versus Goliath type of scenario we got going here. Because at the beginning, Jordan was trying to hit hard, and Bully Ray wasn't flinching and no selling it. And normally, I don't like when wrestlers no sell, but this worked in the story that we were telling here. Now, there was one particular moment I was just like floored. I was like, "Oh, Jordan needs to beat his ass," and like Will and I were screaming at this. So at one point, Jordan's trying to get Bully Ray, and Bully Ray's tired of the shenanigans, so literally grabs her hair and pulls her to the floor. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Oh my god, Bully Ray, you're an asshole."
I was just
Uh,
like, holy shit. I mean, because it was like he was just standing there. He just went, and I was like, I was not expecting it. I was so like surprised that he so easily too. That was what was so great. I'm just like, boom, and she went down, and
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, she's gonna whoop some ass now because he done mess with her hair. I was like, girl, you need to get on him now.
it was yeah, and from that point on, that spelled the end for Bully because as soon as he pulled her hair and threw him down, he went for the laziest elbow drop, which was the funniest thing to see. He just walked up, and was like, Jordan gets out of the way. Stands up, and then Jordan just continuously smacks him across the chest. And then he's dazed. And then Jordan pulls out the best thing that I have yet to see her pull. She pulled this grown ass man into the Jordan driver. And I was just like, oh, for the pin. Jordan Grace is the winner of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. And once again, Jordan Grace is making history because she is the first knockout to win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. And I could have been happier. If it wasn't Jake, I'm so happy it was Jordan.
Yeah. And can we talk about Bully Ray's face when he lost?
He's
He was
just
just
like,
like, what just happened? What just happened? I was like, oh my god. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
after this match happened, it actually made me. I would have liked to have seen Jake go from the beginning to the end. Also, because I think he needs to start getting a push towards something big because he's just awesome. But afterwards, I was like, no, I feel like this was the right choice having Jordan Grace win this. The fact that it's another feather in her cap to break records. Especially considering she wasn't in any of the title contention, matches in the night, even though we didn't get to see one. Um, the fact that she got to win this tournament was such an awesome moment for her to have. And the way that they did it too at the end, they kept it the right amount of length for the two of them to be, to get exactly what you needed to be able to get in there and still have it like keep the energy from the fun match that we just had into this more traditional match. And yeah, seeing her hit Bully in that driver was so much fun. So good.
this the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, like normally I'm always 50-50 when it comes to gimmicky matches like this, but this was the right amount of fun. And Andrew, like you said, the final two was the right length of the time for them to have that match to determine the winner. Again, Jordan Grace breaking records out here. But then Jordan also just takes it one step further because after she wins and she's holding it, she wastes no time. She even admits she's like, man, I love making history. It's just like, and so that there's no confusion, I'm calling my shot for the tie for hard to kill. And I'm just like, we waste no time. So Jordan Grace is cashing in her call her shot gauntlet win, and she's going to get a title shot at at Hard to Kill in January, which makes me excited. Now, I have read some reports online, so I assumed, oh, she's going to go face Trinity for that title, and it would be amazing. But then again, the Call Your Shot Gauntlet is a championship of any choosing. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the knockouts. So I've also seen some reports online that maybe they would put Jordan against well, at this point it's Alex Shelley. Spoiler alert, sorry you guys if you didn't watch it. But Jordan could also go for that Impact World title, the men's title too, because lest we forget,
That would be awesome.
thou who shall not be named did something similar because we don't talk about her because very problematic. But I mean, if they want to tout Jordan, listen, Jordan can fight any girl or guy and everybody in between. Like I am here for it. Either way, I kind of want to see Jordan versus Trinity more a little bit because that's a match that we have
Well, of
not seen
course.
at all. But honestly, Jordan versus anybody at this point, like I'm not going to complain. But this was a lot of fun. So then this is where I started to have questions because after this was over, we get told that, okay, the next matchup is for the Knockouts World Championship. Mickey James challenging Trinity for that title. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, hold the phone. I started having questions. I was like, wait, so we're putting the women's title match here? Then, okay, then does that mean that the tag team, with the Knockouts Tag Team Championships is going to be after this? I'm like, I started having questions. And we're gonna fast forward a little bit. We'll come back to talk to this match. And then after the match was over, then we get told we're time for the main event. And then the realization hit. I'm like, holy shit, they cut the knockout tag team championship match. And I'm like, what happened? It was like, did somebody get hurt? Did someone get sick? Did someone no show? Like, what is happening? And through the thorough investigative reports of, well, actually, both Andrew and Will, because they both helped me out with this one, apparently they had taped the championship match before Bound for Glory went on air, so it's going to be some sort of digital exclusive or maybe used for the tapings later. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, "No, I wanted to see this match here." I was like, "You could have went." I was like, "Why?" Ugh, I'm I think once that happened, like it immediately took a couple points away. Like it took a point away immediately. I was just like, oh man. I was just like, Bound for Glory, we are doing so well. Like we were doing so well. And then we don't get that match. And I was like, nope, that I have to take a point immediately because that's too much of a grievance to let go. I was like, Deanna and Tasha, that sucks they didn't get to be there. But then also too, Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, like all four of those are top tier women. I'm like, how do we not showcase them on Bound for Glory? I'm like, ugh. Anyways, before we talk about something awesome, let's just air the grievances. Andrew, I'm gonna come to you first. Um, no knockouts tag team championship match.
Yeah, I was bummed about this because this was probably one of the matches that I felt, especially after Thursday's show, that probably had the best build up in that show. That video package that they did for MK Ultra, I thought was so well done. It did exactly what it needed to do to pump you up going into the title match. They were going against two other competitors who have been champions, and they're kind of teaming up together and going for this. And even though it was a kind of a sudden build up to this knockouts title match, I was super excited to see how it was going to go. I thought there, depending on who came out with the titles, I thought there was a lot of directions that they could go with those champions. Um, and then to just have it completely taken off the card, especially, it would have been a bummer just if something had happened and they had to take it off. But the fact that it's just going to be pre-recorded, and it I don't know how soon that decision was made, but I would have rather than just not had it for Bound for Glory and just planned to do it at like Turning Point or something. But to have it just kind of deleted, on the cutting room floor and used for later from this, it was kind of a bummer. Uh, I will say, it's like I realized what was happening. I think the knockouts title, the world title, by the end of that match, I was kind of back up into my enjoyment of it. So it definitely got me back into it with the last two matches. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer, and like you said, it was a bummer for the four competitors that were supposed to be in there and get their chance because we could have got another top tier match between those four competitors. And there were a lot of places it could have fit that would have kept with the flow of the night. That it really sucked to have lost that from the card.
Yeah. Well, how let's I'm gonna just let you go for it. So our girls, MK Ultra and Tasha and Deanna, their match being cut from Bound for Glory.
So I am in complete agreement with everybody else, but I mean, I am more angry than upset, and I'm angry because, and we've mentioned it already. You both mentioned it, is because these women or these wrestlers. I wanted to say women, but wrestlers, because they do this to wrestlers a lot. These wrestlers work their asses off, and you're told they're going to get a spot at Bound for Glory, and then they don't. And I'm sorry, if it were me, I'd be pissed. Because, and again, I'm just going to reiterate most of what everyone else has said is that I think this match could have been just as like high adrenaline as all of these matches were. And yeah, and Andrew was correct with that with the video package we got last episode. I was like, this is gonna be a slamming match, man. This is gonna be so good because they built up to this match that was literally, I was like, it's gonna be on fire. And so when we were watching it, I was like, well, I mean, I was like, what a weird, it's weird that they put it between, the women's match and the men's match. I was like, what a weird place to put it. And I was like, oh, sure. Well, okay, I guess we'll, so far they've done really well with everything. So maybe that'll be a good one too. And then the women's match happened. And then they were talking about going on to the next. And I was like, Mike and I were both like, wait a minute. So and then after doing some searching, I saw what happened, and I was like, "Why did they do that?" And I want to know why they did it. Like, because is it because of time, or is it because they didn't feel that it would live up to the rest of them? I mean, I couldn't find anything specific on it other than they filmed it before Bound for Glory as an exclusive digital video package, and I was just like, so I don't know why they cut the match. Like, I don't know why they pulled it from Bound for Glory, because I think it could have easily fit in like right after the call your shot gauntlet. It could have easily fell right there and just kept the momentum building. Because the funny thing is it felt like something was missing. Like even before we found out something was missing. Because it was like Act 1 and Act 2 were very uneven. Like Act 1 was full, like it was full. And then we had our intermission, which was the call your shot. And then should have been 3 matches afterwards. So that was that's my biggest grief about it. The fact that these wrestlers basically got screwed out of Bound for Glory and taking a really a great, what could be possible, which was possibly a grand match, and working it into these others. And I was more angry for the wrestlers than anything else. Not necessarily for me, because I didn't get to watch it in Bound for Glory, but I was pissed that they worked to get there and then you take it away from them. And that just really, that really irritated me. Like, really irritated me.
Yeah, it was definitely a bummer, and that definitely took some off of my final rating when we get to it, because I was just like, man, I really wanted to see that because MK Ultra are my girls, but Tasha coming back to Impact and then Deanna being Deanna and how amazing she is. Like this could have been a steal. This could have been a show stealer, but I hope we get it. I would love to. I want to see it still. But it should have been on the card. So going from that low moment into, I want to say that while this was not the most technically like this was not a technical masterpiece, this is why I also love wrestling because this next match was so fucking fun. Like, excuse my French, but this match was so fun. And to me, this is a good example of you can show wrestling promotions. You don't always need to put face versus heel dynamic for championship matches because these are two faces going against each other. And this match was a lot of fun. So for the Knockouts World Championship, as I said, Mickey James, the challenger, taking on Trinity, the champion. Listen, Mickey James's outfit, I was like, girl is wearing cowgirl and lace. I was just like, I was like, Mickey James, you go, girl. Like, I also love that the venues are small enough that the microphones pick up on everything. Because then I ran some random woman in the audience is like, "You go, Mickey James. You look cute, girl." I was like, "Yes." I was like, "I love it so much." And then of course Trinity with her blacklight entrance, and then coming in with the large graffiti print coat, and just Trinity's like neon aesthetic. I love it so much. Like the blacklight entrance is one of the fun ones. Um, Again, this match, while not necessarily the most technically sound, this match was a lot of fun. I will say the first couple of minutes, it did take me a little bit to get into it because they were feeling each other out. But then once they got into it, it was go from there, like counters and multiple submissions attempt. There was a lot of butt twerking action too on Trinity's part. But then Mickey James hits the ultimate, oh my god, this is crazy Mickey James coming. So as soon Literally, as soon as Trinity catches her and like twerks and booty shakes in her face, like from the top row, Mickey James comes out after literally getting her face in some coochie and just like, I was like,
No, it's,
Mickey James.
I was
I was
like,
like, Mickey James. This is a televised pay per view. Like, oh my gosh, girl. I was like, this is shades of crazy Mickey James from WWE, and I'm here for the mind games. Because even
Don't
Trinity
tempt
was
me
like,
with a
oh
good
my god.
time.
And
I
again,
love.
this was a fun match. Will, I'm gonna come to you first because it is no secret that you are a big Trinity fan, but you became a fan of Mickey James over the course of this build. What what are your thoughts on this Knockouts World Championship match?
I loved this match for several reasons, but the it was fun, and they were having fun with each other, which was great. And I loved that the match was like they were in it to win it. Both of them were. I felt that, but I loved that it was literally like two best friends sparring with each other, but like hitting each other. But like I I loved the because you know me, and the end of the match is also great, but that beautiful moment at the end, and it's when it comes to women's wrestling, I am a huge fan, and I think it doesn't get its due. I think that, like I said many times, there are many women's matches that can outdo a men's match any day. And even though you're right, this wasn't like the most technically like beautiful match. It was so fun, and it was still high energy. That was what's so great. My energy didn't drop. One, I love me some Trinity. She's probably my favorite female wrestler because I just love her as a human being. And getting to know Mickey James, I again a beautiful human being, and so and even in all the promos with Trinity and Mickey together, it has always been so sportsmanlike. It's been so like they respect each other, and they're like girlfriends. And I think a couple of times I was like, I think it'd be fun to go out on a night on the town with like Trinity. I would love to go out on a night with Trinity. I was like, we'll go wherever you want to go, girl. Let's just have fun because she's just fun. And but this match, well, oh yeah, when Mickey James was all like, and I was like, I think I may have just become a lesbian. I really think so. I maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know necessarily that I want to test it, but I think literally something happened inside of me, and I'm not really sure what it was. But I love this match. Again, it wasn't like the most amazing match in the world. It wasn't, and that's okay. But it entertained me. It kept me smiling. I smiled through the whole thing. And I loved these two women's relationship. I love their relationship with each other. They can literally poke fun at each other while they're fighting for a title. It's like, what a fun match. I mean, really, what a fun match. So that's me. I love these two women. So I'll turn it over to you guys now.
Yeah, it was it like I agree with both of you. The beginning of it started off a little slow, and kind of realizing that we weren't going to be getting the Knockouts tag team title. That there was a moment of doubt in my mind about like kind of took away from what they've already built up. But I think what we got, it wasn't an explosive match like Osprey and Bailey or even like Saban and Kenta. There wasn't a lot of craziness like the Monsters Ball, but we got some really good storytelling with the action that really tied you in, and it built up really well to that ending of the match. And just like getting to see those moments there too, I think everything really built nicely. And as it went on and they got kind of into their groove and the energy started going, they just kept it going. They were super entertaining together. It was both back and forth was really well done. I really enjoyed it. It because of how they told the story in it. It was definitely one of my top matches of the night. I think I have it like my third match of the night. Um, just just because of the satisfaction. It was a different type of enjoyment and satisfaction that I had at the end of this match versus some of the bigger, higher spot matches. And it was awesome to see. I don't know, what the plans are going to be for either of them going forward, but they did. They showed why Mickey James is a legend, and why Trinity is a future legend. I mean, the respect for each other, but also the capability in there was on par, and it was awesome. It was great to see them get that moment.
I agree with both of you. And for me, like I said, I feel like Mickey James doesn't get talked about enough about like when we talk about pioneers of women's wrestling. Especially with her coming from that era of WWE, because we have the Litas, we have the Trish Stratuses, we have the Molly Hollies, we have the Stacy Keeblers to a certain extent. But everyone seems to kind of forget. I'm like, Mickey James is in that group. And for me, Mickey James, I think within the last 2 years has proved like this girl is willing to do anything, everything, and still got it. It's like her Texas Death Match with Deanna for the Knockouts Championship last year at Hard to Kill was actually this year at Hard to Kill is probably one of my favorite women's matches, period, of this year because both of them killed it. And Mickey James showed that she has that aggressiveness in her and that she is going to go the extra mile for this. And then I agree with what you said, Andrew, that Trinity is a future legend in the making because she has had some amazing matches. Like her feud with Deanna was great, and she held her own against Deanna too, because Deanna can pull out a lot of things, and Deanna is a really good wrestler, just period. And Trinity kept up with her. One thing I loved that commentary pointed out towards the end of this match, as we were kind of getting the final camera shots before it jumped into the video package for the main event. I love that Tom Hannafan said that this for Trinity, this win over Mickey James just adds to her credibility as a wrestler. Didn't say women's wrestler, wrestler. And just a win over Mickey James is a going to be talked about as a highlight in Trinity's long future career. And I love that the commentary team put over pretty much every single wrestler tonight. Like, even though there's a face and heel dynamic, they put over everyone. And I was just like, yes, this was a lot of fun. And honestly, I'm excited to see what happens with Trinity. And I hope Mickey James sticks around for a little bit as well. So, because I would love to see her tangle up more with some of the women right now. This was a lot of fun. So after this match, we quickly get to a backstage segment where Gia is interviewing Moose. Moose talks about that even though he got pinned, he's not a loser because he has the Feast or Fire briefcase for an Impact World Championship match. And he announces that he's going to cash in the briefcase at Hard to Kill. So Hard to Kill, we'll see Jordan Grace going after some title, and Moose will be cashing in his Feast or Fire briefcase for a championship match too. So we pretty much know the challengers for Hard to Kill. But between now and then, we will see if Trinity will retain her title all the way up to Hard to Kill, and then we'll see who our Impact World Championship is at that point. After this, we do get to the main event, which is for the Impact World Championship, Josh Alexander versus Alex Shelley. Okay. So I was telling this to Will. So, from seeing Josh and Steve Macklin just try to kill each other in the high flying stuff that they did at Victory Road, Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander kind of did the same thing, but the best way I could describe this match for me is like if I was watching a surgeon at work. Like it wasn't a lot of high flying, it wasn't a lot of like fast movements, but both Josh and Alex, in my opinion, were like surgeons and they were systematically trying to cut each other down and injure each other in very brutal ways. Like they were being intelligent. This was a highly intelligent match. What can I do to destroy my opponent and to gain the momentum? It was like watching a chess match in the ring happen because it was slower paced. There wasn't a lot of high flying stuff, but Josh and Alex kept going back and forth systematically trying to figure out how can I hurt you and keep you down. Some of the standout moments for me is when just the first like half of this match, Alex Shelley doing a variety of things to attack the surgically repaired arm of Joshua Alexander and just the stomping on the elbow, like tearing it, arm bars. I was like, oh my goodness. And then Alex Shelley going, no, and then Josh going after Alex Shelley's knee. Like when Josh grabbed his leg and then literally hung upside down using the post as a support while he was yanking on that thing. I'm like, no, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. No, what are we doing? This match, yes, I will admit this match was a little bit slower than I had anticipated, but I kind of glad that it was that way because this was more brutal. And I'm gonna be honest, I when that turnbuckle came off, I was like, oh no, how's it gonna play into this match? And then it didn't because Alex Shelley won clean. That I think threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, what is happening? But this was this was art in motion. This was chess match in wrestling form happening. Andrew, I'm gonna come to you first. Main event. Alex Shelley is still our Impact World Champion. How did you feel about this match?
Yeah, I did. I did not. I expected Alexander was going to come out of this as the new champion. But I, one thing I really enjoyed that you touched on was this was Shelley showing that he could go hold for hold and move for move against Alexander. Like he wrestled much more of a Josh Alexander match than Josh Alexander wrestling an Alex Shelley match. Like he he it was almost like, okay, I'm willing to go there with you and be darker about it, sticking his fingers in the turnbuckle. He's like, I can do all that same stuff to you too. And I thought it was great, the back and forth. I mean, they beat the crap out of each other the whole time. And there was one segment where it was just like reversal, 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 and it never came off as the like a hokey moment. It was like so well done and so technical that it like I got just as excited about that as any of the big actual impact moves. Just getting them to see like each one trying to go for the other and finish the other one. I think it was. it was just so nice to see that technical work happening from both people with their own flares on it. I love the intensity that they kept. I mean, Josh Alexander tried to hit, a finish early on in the match with that spike, and tried to finish it super early. And then, Shelley got out of that. And then it just kept going and going and going up until we got the end. And like you said, I was so shocked that it was a clean victory, that Shelley just beat Josh Alexander. And there was never a moment when Alex Shelley, it ever came across like, oh yeah, well he did this thing because he's the heel, because both of them went to those places. But no one ever like outright like cheated or anything like that. It was just they used the environment that they could, and they used the moves that they had. But I hope that like the one little thing in there is that he had to hit him with back to back finishers for this moment to happen, and I was shocked. Now I'm wondering what's next for Josh Alexander. Are we going to see more of this feud? What's going to happen with Alex Shelley? Like where's his brain going to go after this? Because he was so obsessed with proving that he was better than Josh Alexander, that he could beat Josh Alexander. So what's his ego going to be like now that he has beat Josh Alexander, the chosen champion kind of figure? And what's that going to be like for that world title? Yeah, it was a good way for the main event to happen. I thought it was a great final note for that. Well, as much as the matches were final notes.
It was it was great. Will, what did you think of our main event?
I thought this match was beautiful. Like it was technically beautiful. I it was like watching dancers.
Hmm.
And I felt that, and again, this goes back to my idea, but my thoughts about knowing your opponent. And I thought it felt like Alex Shelley studied his opponent, like watched old recordings, and that sort of like really got to know his opponent, and he fought for that title. I never once did I feel that he won this title because he was supposed to win this title.
Mhm.
I felt like he fought for this title, and that Josh Alexander defended. Like he's like, I'm gonna take this from you, and then Alex was like, I'm gonna fight for this, and never once did I feel that this match was a let up. I never once thought that this was just, that Josh is going to come into this and throw an elbow. I never once thought that at all. And yeah, they were going after each other's weaknesses. I mean, it was a brutal match, but it was beautiful. It was a beautiful match between these two competitors. And, and we've talked about face and heel, and we weren't really sure. I wasn't really sure what this switch over with Alex Shelley was. It felt so sudden, and then I realized it wasn't that at all. It was literally Shelley felt like no one took him seriously, and then he's like, I have to prove to people that I'm serious. And that's what this felt like. This didn't feel like face versus heel. This literally felt like I have to do this so people will take me seriously. And I was there for it. And that's why, especially at the end of this match, what happens at the end of this match, I was like, there it is.
Mhm.
That's all it took right there. And then it's like, dude, I'm on your side now. I'm totally on your side. I get what you were doing because I was literally looking at it as, oh look, he's turning to the dark side, and I don't think he is. I literally think he was like, why? And then I had to go back and watch that sit down interview, and I
Mhm.
watched it, and I talked about how he was a boohoo, whiny, but then I was like, wait a minute, no, he's literally like, look at me. I'm good at what I do. Why will you not like appreciate that. So I
Mhm.
guess I need to literally, I have to beat Josh Alexander in order for people to go, oh shit, okay, I got you now, man. I take this. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I feel this match was. I don't think this was a heel versus face. This was literally Alex Shelley going, take me seriously, folks, because look what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And then he did it, and I was like, and I wanted Josh to win, and I went into this more, and it was more of a flip. It was a coin flip. I literally coin flipped it, and but I'm really I'm actually glad that Alex Shelley won it. After I came to my realization, I was like, okay, this is yours, man. This was yours. You went in there, you fought for it, you won it. It was brutal. You got brutalized. You brutalized Josh. I mean, it was beautiful. Like you said, it was like surgeons, and I really liked it. It was this was up in my top matches as well, like my top three, because it got me story wise. It got me, and I was like, damn. And I went deep into it too. I was like, after the whole pay per view, I was like sitting up just thinking about it. And I was like, God bless. What? And then I went back and watched that sit down interview, and I was like, holy shit! I had him all wrong.
Mm.
I had him all wrong. That is damn good storytelling. Damn good. So yeah, that's where I am on that match.
Yeah. I I love again, I love the psychology behind this match and like both of you had said, the very intricacies that we got. And then in also like what you were saying, Will, too, is Alex being not now looking in hindsight, I was like, okay, like it was a little muddy at the begin with, but this match definitely filled in the gaps of what I felt was missing from the story. I was like, I don't understand why Alex is kind of acting this way. But now with this match, I'm like, okay, it's again like it's not heel versus face. It's Josh as the chosen one face, as we like to call in wrestling, like because he is the golden child, he is the chosen one for Impact. Then Alex Shelley has been putting in the work since day one, and he's like, I'm just as good as Josh, but I also been doing this longer, so I know more than he does. I just want you guys to treat me on the same level of respect as Josh. And boy, howdy, did Alex Shelley earn the respect because at the end of this match, and this was a very poignant point in the storytelling, Josh Alexander like got on one knee and he extended his hand as a sign of respect to Alex to shake it. Alex shakes it. He has Josh stand up. They do the forehead to forehead moment as a big sign of respect. And then Josh takes the title and puts it on Alex Shelley's waist, which is for those of us who watch wrestling, that is the big sign of respect when your opponent puts the championship belt on your waist for you. Just a sign of a respect as opponents and coworkers. And I thought that that was a beautiful moment. So that technically brings us to the end of Bound for Glory. But let's talk about this ending video because normally after these big four pay-per-views with Impact, we usually get some sort of small teaser of whatever the next big four pay-per-view is. So in this case, Bound for Glory is the last big pay-per-view for Impact of the year. So then we reset the cycle because the big four for Impact is Hard to Kill, Rebellion, Slammiversary, and Bound for Glory. So when the trailer started, we basically got like a overshot of the woods, and then we saw a mixture of like some of the older Impact crew like running through the woods, and some shots of the younger talent like chilling in the ring or like in some sort of like studio setting, and this dichotomy of old versus young. And I was just like, okay. And then it kept going. I was like, this whole thing ended up being 5 minutes. I'm like, this is a long teaser trailer just to announce Hard to Kill. And then we get to the shot, Frankie Kazarian coming out like Jason Voorhees from the lake with a box in his hand out of the lake. I was just like, I kind of like that Frankie was the one to do that.
Mhm.
But we get so we get this shot that's showing like of all the Impact, roster, the people that were shown standing around this box are considered the long-term people who have been here since the inception of the company. So Eddie, Alicia, Jordan, Josh, Chris, Alex Shelley, Frankie Kazarian. And so all of them were talking, and Eric Young, and they're all talking about how like wrestling is bleeding and that we need to show them that we still have this fire. I'm like, where are we going with this? Like, what is happening? And then Josh is just like, this is where I want it to be. And it's all for this moment. So Josh leans down to open the box. And what does it say on the box? But TNA. And I immediately lost my mind because then Josh opens up the box, and then we get this like flashback, like this hybrid of modern and past Impact slash TNA wrestlers. So we see all the current roster, and then we see the old school of like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Sting. Like we're getting glimpses of a bunch of current and old. And I was like, what does this mean? And then as it fades to black, the first thing that it says is that Saturday, January 13th is Hard to Kill from Las Vegas. So I'm trying to figure out if I can make that Impact pay per view. But then, I was like, oh, okay, this is Impact's new. This is going to be okay. That was kind of cool for a big Impact pay per view. Oh no. Because then, as soon as Hard to Kill gets revealed, at the very top, it says TNA for TNA Hard to Kill. I'm like, wait a minute. What does this mean? What? Oh my gosh. And then we fade from that, and it shows the new TNA logo. And then the feed, unfortunately, cut it off. But I saw the online video, just the crowd chanting TNA, Scott D'Amore with some of the talent in the ring. He looks to say something on the mic and then just shakes his head, throws the microphone, and holds it up like literally mic drop as Bound for Glory goes off the air. So in 2024, Impact Wrestling is reverting back to its original name of TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And as somebody who was first introduced to this world during the TNA days, I was a huge wrestling mark and I don't care.
Dude, I yeah, I was so excited for this. This trailer built it up perfectly. I feel like whoever made this was probably the ones working on the MK Ultra one too. This was done so well. And literally when it was over after that, like right when that chest was getting open, goosebumps. Like I was so excited for this. The way they built it up was perfect. The little nods between each of the performers that we saw in the woods. The moment where we see the face paint going on, Courtney Love, and like seeing her do the Rosemary uh, um,
Makeup.
makeup and seeing some of that stuff. So I'm hoping we're getting some returns of some people and just getting some really exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to what that transition is going to be like for um, uh, from Impact into TNA. And just oh, it was so good. I was so excited. It was such a I definitely went and watched that trailer and that final moment of them in the ring like two or three more times on social media because it popped up obviously after it was over. But oh, it was so good. I was so excited and I cannot wait for TNA to officially be back.
Will, so this is an interesting moment for you because we brought you in, and Impact is what you've known for the last couple months now. And I mean, the talent will still the same, but now we are headed into the next chapter for this company, and it being the 2.0 relaunch version of TNA. So, obviously, you weren't watching during the old school TNA days, but and I didn't tell you this yesterday, but I'm excited for you because you get to be a part. Well, here's the thing, it's like when you watch wrestling for a long time, it's like you end up seeing the evolution of all the companies that you watch. Like that's how it was for me, and I still held that hope when we transitioned from the first version of NXT to what we have now. It was a touch and go for a little bit in between, but NXT as it is now, as we have seen and we've talked about, because me and you review it, Will, like we love it a lot. So I'm personally excited for this new chapter. But Will, what do you think? So you are here to witness the next chapter going from Impact to TNA. So what are some of your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I don't have a lot because I don't have context, but I can tell you this though: the video promo kind of made me emotional. It hit something, so that's good. I mean, it could have been like, oh, okay, that was nice. I don't know what that is, but no, I mean, I got involved in it because I mean, I know the characters that were in the video. I mean, I know these wrestlers. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go wherever you take me because that's just how I am. I mean, I'm as long as you still give us quality wrestling and great stories and some fun moments here and there. I'll go wherever you want me to go. And I was excited that you were excited, and I was like, that's cool. I was like, like I don't TNA, I don't know TNA from a hole in the ground, but I can't wait. So I'm excited. I'm super excited about it because it looks like it's gonna be a badass time. So let's do it to it.
I may or may not have looked. I was like, hold up. Hard to Kill is going to be at the Palms in Las Vegas. What's the inside of this arena look like? And then I saw it. I'm like, holy shit, this is a big arena.
I've been to
And
that arena.
I was like, that's a big place. And for Impact to score the Palms for this, I'm like, holy crap, this is a big upgrade. No offense. Like, I love the small, intimate venues, but to see Impact like are expanding and are growing, and because the we've had our minor ups and downs with a lot of the pay-per-views, but pretty much a lot of the Impact pay-per-views this year have all sold out. Like, it's insane. Like, Bound for Glory was sold out, Road sold out, Emergence sold out. Like, a lot of the like all their pretty much almost all their pay-per-views this year have sold out. So I'm excited for them to expand and to be in bigger venues, and I'm trying to go to Hard to Kill because Impact rarely comes out to the West Coast. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for this new chapter for Impact, and I'm excited to see. I agree with both of you. If we get the quality, and also like if we get the nods to what made TNA special in the first place, like I'm here for this next chapter, and I can't wait. But that does officially now bring us to the end of our Bound for Glory review. Andrew, you had your hand up, sir.
Oh no, I was saying, yeah. Now we're getting to the wrap up of it.
Yep. So, I'm gonna change things up a little bit. I'm gonna go last. Andrew, I'm gonna have you go first. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, however, whichever scale you want to use in terms of whether you use 1 out of 10 empanadas, if you want to use a different scale, but out of 10, what would you rate Bound for Glory 2023?
Yeah, I'll do the 1 out of 10 scale. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was like it would have probably been a 9.5. It was a 9.5 out of what we got to see and what happened in the night. The only reason it was a 9 is because it didn't fully deliver on everything that we were told we were going to get for this, and I feel like what we didn't get in the knockouts tag match would not have brought anything down. I think it would have continued with everything. So, um, it's still a 9 out of 10 for me. It was one of my most enjoyable nights of wrestling this year.
Will, same question. What do you rate Bound for Glory 2023?
Mine is a solid 9 out of 10. Absolutely. And the only reason mine is so low is because of I was angry because of they jilted MK Ultra and Tasha and Dion. I think that there was plenty of room on in this event for them, and they should have just did what they told us they were going to do. So I got the point deducted because I feel a little lied to. Um, but overall 9 because I this was a thoroughly enjoyable pay per view. I mean, it was thoroughly. I mean, I have never in my life have I ever been exhausted after a pay, and I was exhausted. So, yep, 9 out of 10.
I am of the same mindset. I also gave this a 9 out of 10. and I deducted a point because we did not get our Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, and I was really excited for that because I love all four women involved in that: MK Ultra, Tasha, and Deanna. And I feel that match would have added onto a very incredibly strong card. Like, this was a very strong card on paper, and everything delivered and even went above my expectations for a lot of it. And just I'm again, like, I watch a lot of wrestling, and then I was also exhausted by the end of this pay-per-view, but like in a very good way. And I think for me too, this may have dethroned Under Siege, because Under Siege leading into this was still my favorite Impact pay-per-view this year, and that easily got dethroned after by the end of this. So Impact Bound for Glory is my favorite Impact pay-per-view this year. And honestly, depending how the next couple of pay-per-views for all the companies goes, I this is in contention to be probably my number one pay-per-view across all the companies for this year, but we'll just have to see. And I think, and I'm going to take a moment because we we here at the Biconics, there's a bunch of the boys outside of the three of us that make fun of the fact, and they call Impact like an indie promotion, but they mean it out of love, and there's no real anger or malice. But this pay-per-view, I cannot wait to rub into their faces and says, "You cannot call Impact an independent company anymore," because my god, if they watch this, there is no argument into that this pay-per-view alone shows that Impact is great, and in fact, Impact has been the most consistent this year and has put on stellar pay-per-views. Even though the weekly television shows are kind of hit and miss sometimes, but we take the good with the bad. But man, gentlemen, this was such a fun pay-per-view to watch. This was a fun pay-per-view to review. The next we'll be back in 2 weeks because we'll be covering the Turning Point pay-per-view all the way from the UK, which is going to be. But for all of you who have stuck around to watch all this, thank you so much for another episode of Pinfall Playback. If you want to see more other pay-per-view reviews, go ahead and check out the past ones we've done. This month alone, we have covered a lot. We did WWE's Fastlane, we did Wrestle Dream from AEW, and then even before that, we covered NXT's No Mercy. And speaking of NXT, stick around because the next 2 weeks we're gonna get spoopy because the NXT crew, we have 2 weeks of Halloween Havoc we're covering, so that's gonna be fun. You can also check out the other review shows that we have. We pretty much cover every single wrestling show of the week. You can catch us on social medias where you can see some behind the scenes stuff. You can see clips of the videos, so go check them out, as well as notifications when reviews and pay per view stuff go up on the YouTube channel. And if you think that this was unhinged, go check us out at the actual Biconic Wrestling Podcast, where we be a little more unhinged. The most recent episode, we created our own dream pay per view, and it was a lot of fun. We also talked a lot of smack about some other stuff that was going on. So if you want to know our thoughts on certain things, make sure to go check this out. But from myself, Will, and Andrew here, thank you so much for tuning in. And until the next review, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and stay biconic, you beautiful bastards. But until then, we'll see you later. Ta ta for now.